Good evening and welcome parents to our information night for the Special Education Unit. Tonight we'll be looking specifically about what our school offers for students with Down syndrome. I will be using the example of a student that we have here at the school who has Down syndrome. Her name is Marley and her parents have given me permission to speak about her in this forum. And here's Marley. So how does our program work? We currently have 11 students in our special education program with 3 teachers and 1 teacher's aide. Students range from 2nd grade up to 12th grade, and we have 1 homeroom for primary and 1 homeroom for secondary students. The students typically spend about half of each day in the homeroom, where they'll do a mix of traditional core subjects, maths, English, science and social studies, with their homeroom teachers. These subjects are taught with the students' engagement in mind, not just with the curriculum outcomes in mind. Each child is able to work at their own level within the course content. And assignments are modified to allow each child to show learning by way of their own strengths. The rest of the time these students go into mainline classes, when these classes have non-core classes such as PE, art, computers, library and music. When our students go into mainline classes, they always have one of the teacher's aides go with them. Let's have a look at an example of Marley's daily schedule. You'll notice straight away that her day is made up of small blocks of time. This is to allow her to focus for short periods of time and then move on to a different subject or skill area, and we find this works best with Marley. So you can see that she has a mix of classroom time and then what we call specials, or those non-core subjects. She has lunch time and recess time integrated with students her own age group, her peer level group, as well as other times during the day in these non-core subjects. So the characteristics and how these affect schooling. Since you are all parents of a child with Down syndrome, I don't have to explain the characteristics to you. What I would like to do, however, is to look at how some of these characteristics play into our day at school for these children. Using our example of Marley, who is 8 years old and in 1st grade, I'd like to share some specific challenges and how we work together to overcome them with Marley. Firstly, Marley's speech. Marley attends speech therapy once a week here at school. We work with an external speech therapist who comes into the school 1 day a week to work with our students. Secondly, health challenges. Our school nurse is trained in specific care of students with different disabilities. She's aware that students with Down syndrome often have respiratory problems and can easily catch colds and coughs. In the classroom, we work with the children, specifically teaching them about hygiene, the importance of good hand washing, using tissues correctly, of them not picking their noses and scratching their eyes and that kind of thing. We find that this kind of teaching drastically reduces the prevalence of respiratory illnesses in our students. Number 3, physical activity. While Marley is actually very able physically, she, like a lot of children with Down syndrome, has reached physical milestones later than her peers. Marley participates in 1 physical therapy session a week at school. The therapist comes into the classroom and works with her on gross motor skills. This helps with balance, muscle tone, and development of basic physical skills. When Marley participates in PE classes, the PE teacher is aware of Marley's needs and will provide her with appropriate challenges within the PE class context. At this stage though, Marley is participating in PE classes at almost the same level as her peers in 1st grade. And fourthly, Marley, like many children with Down syndrome, tends to suffer from gastrointestinal problems. We monitor what she eats and we work with her parents on this as well. The school nurse is also aware of this and she's always available for Marley should she need treatment. Moving on to teaching strategies. Our special ed teachers use a wide variety of strategies in the classroom to engage with our students. Specific strategies to help students with Down syndrome include a strong emphasis on visual learning, phonetics and phonetical awareness, the use of manipulatives such as counting blocks to demonstrate and work out maths concepts. You can see here one of our students, our high school students, Joy, working with math manipulatives to solve a problem. We use predictable timetable and daily experiences. We recognise that individual students' strengths. For example, often students with Down syndrome have strong social connections, and we use these strengths to increase their learning opportunities. Here's an example of one of our students integrating into a drama class. This gives her opportunities to integrate with her peers, but drama is a class that gives her social opportunities. She's a very social girl and she loves being in that environment. You can see that by the smile on her face that how much she loves the drama class there. We also use tactile demonstrations and activities, such as in science studies, going outside to look and record the weather patterns each day, rather than just reading about it in a book. We commit to structured learning opportunities to enable your child to engage with other students. This includes participating in non-core subjects, as well as eating lunch and having recess break with their mainstream classmates. Classroom and behaviour management. Students with Down syndrome can display challenging behaviours at home and at school. Our teachers are well trained to deal with these behaviours. Here are some examples of typical behavioural issues and how we would deal with them. Firstly, wandering off or running away. Students will always be accompanied to and from classrooms, to the bathroom or to the nurse's office by a teacher or a teacher's aide. When at recess, a special ed teacher or a teacher's aide will supervise while allowing your child to play freely with their peers. If a child does wander off or run away, they cannot leave the school grounds without a parent. The security guards are at the front of the school, and they would not let your student leave the school without a parent or a teacher. The teacher would be called to come and get the child from the security guard. Stubborn or oppositional behaviour. Oppositional behaviour can be a child's way of expressing frustration or to show a lack of understanding due to language or communication challenges. They can also be a sign of illness, feeling unhappy, tiredness, or a problem at home or with their friends at school. It's important that parents and teachers communicate regarding these types of behaviour. That way patterns of behaviour can be established and the reasons can be figured out. We have one student who we recently found out she hated her pottery class. The texture of the clay and her hands getting dirty really bothered her. She would display oppositional behaviour around going to this class. Once we discovered this, we were able to change her art class to a drawing class, and her behaviour improved greatly. We have a parent-teacher communication book that we will write notes in and send at home each day. We would ask that you as parents would return the book with similar notes each morning. Attention problems. Teachers here have tools available such as the Vanderbilt and Connor's parent and teacher rating scales to chart students' attention span and impulsivity. Our special needs students are assessed based on developmental age rather than chronological age. Students with Down syndrome can also have problems with anxiety, language processing problems, and hearing loss, which may present as a lack of attention in a class setting. Obsessive compulsive behaviours. In class, these can be as simple as a child always wanting to sit in the same chair. These are usually easily managed by sticking to the routine and managing student expectations around changes in the day. Sometimes obsessions and compulsive behaviours can become more intense. In this instance, teachers would communicate with parents about an appropriate course of action to deal with the obsession. Involvement of parents. Our school day starts at 7:35 with the national anthem and prayer. Parents are welcome to stay for this, but we ask that you leave the school grounds after this time. Initially, there may be some time when it's appropriate for you to stay to help settle your child. We'll work together with you to make their transition into school as smooth as possible. There will be other opportunities for you to be involved during the school year. When we have excursions, we may ask for parent helpers to come along to help. If you are able to come, you may be asked to supervise a small group of 3 or 4 students, including your child. The teachers and teachers' aides will, of course, be present at all times as well. We will from time to time request parents to be involved in special days, such as career days, where you could come and share about your career, or International Day, where you can come and share with the class about your family heritage. In high school, our special education students have a life skills class, where students learn basic skills such as cooking, grocery shopping, and washing clothes. There is scope for parents to be involved here as well. Students also have the opportunity to participate in work experience at a local cafe. As I've already shared, your child will be both in the homeroom and will also go to other classes as they go to non-core subjects. Your child will have contact with many different teachers during their day. Here are some of them. Miss Joanna for PE, Mr. John for music, Miss Cami will be the art teacher, Miss Sarah is in the library, and Mrs. Sue is the computer teacher. As well as these teachers who are employed by the school, your child will have interaction with external professionals such as the speech therapist and the physical therapist. If your child needs ESL, they will also have one-on-one lessons with one of our ESL staff. As well as these teachers, your child will get to know the school nurse, various cafeteria workers, and custodial staff at the school. Your child will get to know a wide variety of teachers and students. We understand that this may be overwhelming for them at the start. Please know that we will do all that we can to make them feel comfortable when they're here at school. Are there any questions?